And joining us now, the executive director of the National Sunflower Association, John Sandbockett, is with us. John, it's great to catch up with you again, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well, Jesse. Thanks for having me on your program today.
We appreciate the time, John. And man, oh man, we are looking at a pretty good looking sunflower crop across much of the upper Midwest and the northern plains. Get us up to speed. How is that crop looking here as we near harvest?
Well, we got a little bit of a later start this spring. Obviously, we had some wet conditions, but boy, that's really benefited the crop now. And, when you look at from July 1 till just the last few weeks here, we've just really had no rain, and sunflowers have really done well. And the heat units have really helped, and the crop is right about where it should be in that 5-year average period.
And I know I've heard from a lot of growers that they are very happy with what they are seeing with their crops across the Dakotas and Minnesota. And generally speaking, have you heard some really good reports from growers? Are they happy with what they're seeing so far?
Definitely. I haven't talked to anybody, recently that wouldn't say that they have an above average crop. I mean, right now that's very common to hear, and it just, it looks really well. I mean, I've been a long time since I've seen such a uniform looking crop across such a large area. I can't think. There's probably some areas, I'm sure, just like with other crops, that have some, some downsides, but overall it looks just great. And I know a lot of growers are just anxious to get out there and start harvesting.
Well, John, talk about prices as we head into the fall. I believe I saw the National Sunflower Association Twitter shared some prices from the Northern Plains here recently, a couple days ago. And I don't know if we have to get too specific, but just talking about prices here with the market as we head into this fall, how are things looking right now?
Well, we are going to have a larger crop this year. Just some, if you look at trend line yields, we're going to have about 40% more production this year than we did last year. And obviously the drought impacted that. But, the industry is out there. They're eager to get acres. I know that they're already rolling out 2023 new crop programs in that $26 to $27 range right now, which is historically, when you look at that's really good pricing, especially with as large of a crop as we've got coming on. And I think it just shows the demand that's out there for the market. I mean, our U.S. exports, I just did the numbers here a little bit ago. We're up 16% from where we were last year at this time. And just in Canada, which is our main market, we're up 54% in export sales. So it's looking really good right now. And I mean, the market is definitely needing oil. And that's why I think, people are getting their new crop program rolled out already.
Well, I think part of maybe some of the reasoning behind that could be tied to what's going on in Ukraine. We've seen this week more escalation of tensions with Russian President Vladimir Putin. We know that situation is a tough one over there, and we continue to watch it deteriorate. It appears, but as you look at that situation, and obviously issues with not only their fall harvest, but questions about 2023, I think that puts a focus on our crop here in the US. And as you mentioned, people needing sunflower oil. So really a big emphasis on this fall harvest and then into next year as well, I think it appears, John.
Definitely. I know when after the Russian invasion took place in Ukraine, a lot of customers were scrambling for oil because obviously a lot of oil was taken off the market there for a long period of time. And, I think, when you see new crop prices roll out this early, I know from talking to some of our customers that they don't want to be in that same position that they were last winter, when this happened. They want to make sure they secure their needs, and they're booking oil already, for into next year. And that's why we trying to secure those acres, because we've got to fulfill that demand.
John, I know we've had in the news as well the potential rail strike here. It seems like that's been averted. It sounds like that's going to be voted on here by the unions in the next couple of weeks. Are you worried? Is there any worry on the rail system or supply chains in general once we get to sunflower harvest? Is there any worry from the association about maybe some backlogs in the supply chain?
For us, most of our seed moves by truck and, into the plants or into elevators. And so that's not as much of an issue for us. Where it is an issue is on moving out meal and oil out of the plants. Obviously, that all goes by rail car. And so if there were any kind of a slowdown, it would affect the amount of oil that you can only have so much oil in your tanks. And that could affect the crush. But, I don't see anything on the horizon now. And I think that companies have been sort of planning for this the last few weeks, moving oil and getting that storage available. And hopefully everything here works out, because it would just be destructive for all of agriculture if that were to happen. And that's where it would mainly be for us, to be on the product side.
Well, I know as well, there's so many things going on with sunflower oil right now, innovations. I know we hear a lot about the innovations when it comes to, say, soybean oil and
Mhm.
soybean meal. But looking on the sunflower side, I know there's a lot of research, and we've talked about this before, but a lot of research into uses and different types of uses for sunflower oil here as we move forward, John.
Definitely. We're always trying to fulfill that market demand, and get the oil that our customers want to have. And right now, high oleic is probably in the highest demand of all of our oils. Because one of the main selling features of that is the lower saturated fat, and that is, consumers want to eat the same amount of food that they do. They just want it to be healthier. And sunflower oil fits in just very well. And with high oleic, you get a longer fry life, longer shelf stability. And just one of those things that it's just really attractive right now, and that's where we're seeing a lot of demand.
Well, John, fantastic stuff. And I know this harvest is looking really good again. Any other final thoughts you want to share with us here today? Just anything else you're watching closely here throughout the sunflower industry?
Well, I think a lot of folks should just keep track of what's going on in Russia, Ukraine. That is honestly one of the biggest market movers right now. Strong dollar is going to be tough on exports, but overall, I think Russia, Ukraine is going to be one of the main movers here in the weeks ahead.
We will continue to watch that, and I'm sure we'll check in here as we get past the sunflower harvest and get an update once the crop is out of the field. With that, John Sandbockett, Executive Director, National Sunflower Association. Appreciate the time as always, sir. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you very much for your program, Jesse.